hello and welcome back to the video. So here we have creating an inclusive school paper today. So hope you have done with the other papers, that is gender and knowledge and curriculum. So now this is the another paper, creating an inclusive school. So in this paper, of course, we do have the 5 units. Okay, we do have the 5 units, whereas perspective in inclusive education, that covers history, policy and concepts. And second unit is understanding barriers to inclusive education, where it covers attitudinal, systematic, structural. And the third unit covers building inclusive learning environments, and it covers accessibility and universal design. Fourth unit is curriculum adaptation, that covers UDL differentiation and strategies. And fifth unit finally, management of inclusive classroom, that covers behavior, partnerships and teacher role. Okay, now the unit 1. Unit 1 is all about perspectives in inclusive education. So you feel that education, inclusive education, that have the perspectives. What is perspectives? Perspectives is all about the different point of views of different peoples. I have one perspective towards the examination, evaluation, and you watching the video have one perspective about the exams, evaluations and everything, right? So here there is a perspective for inclusive education. Okay, so first, emergence of inclusive education. How it has been emerged, where it started, everything have a history and starting point, right? So where it started, how it happened, the historical view of inclusive education in India, inclusive education in India. So during 70s and 80s period, okay, there is the focus that is segregated only up to the special education. Okay, specifically to the special education for the children with disabilities. For the children with disabilities, there is a disabilities for the children, so that to ensure right of every child is there in education. In this, government of India has created the numerous policy for special education since the country's independence. It's been preparing, but there is a much attention has happened in 70s to 80s. So when it comes to since the independence, it's from the 1947. Okay, from 1947 the special education has some special attention, but much special attention was there and the focus was segregated in during the 70s to 80s, during that period. Okay, so one of the earliest formal initiative, I'm telling you, one of the earliest formal initiative was happened by the government of India was integrated education for disabled children, that is IEDC scheme. Okay, integrated education for disabled children. Integrated education for disabled children. So this is the first ever scheme that is the earliest scheme. I can't say first ever, but earliest scheme is, and a formal scheme that has been integrated education for disabled children, IEDC, in 1974. In 1974. That's why it's been mentioned during 70s and 80s. So this is very important. Please, note it down. It's not there in the PPT. IEDC, Integrated Education for Disabled Children. Okay. Now, during the 1990s, the shift towards integrated education. How it's been, children with disabilities placed in mainstream schools with limited supports. They have been moved to, in 1990, they have been moved to children with disabilities with the mainstream schools. So everybody started being in single schools. So this Kotagiri Commission, during 1966 itself, they have highlighted the importance of educating children with disabilities. Okay, so before this 1990, there is a there is a scheme for disabled children, and even in 60s there is a Kothari commission where it's highlighted, and even the National Council. Okay, this National Council have joined the hands with UNICEF and launched the project for disabled children, launched the education project for disabled children. Who have joined? NCERT and UNICEF. Okay, so NCERT and UNICEF have joined and created the special education for them. So later on only they have joined with the mainstream schools. Okay, and now Salmanka statement, that is during 1994, the international push towards inclusive schooling for all children. So for all children there comes a thing, that is international push. International push. So first it is like special for special education students, that is disabled students, and then they joined in the mainstream later 1990s. In between these itself there is a scheme for them, and there is a project for them. Everything is launched for them by various departments like NCERT, Government of India and UNICEF. Okay, so later on this has been shifted to mainstream schools, and then started pushing during the 94 international level. Then comes this post 2000, that is Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. So that is Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. So the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan was launched to achieve the goal of universalization of elementary education in 2001. Why this has been came? Why? Was launched to achieve the goal of universalization of elementary education in 2001. So this is very good initiative that everybody should get that elementary education. That's been launched in the 2001. The three important aspects of this UEE are access, enrollment, retention of all the children in the age 6 to 14. All the children in the age 6 to 14. So this is the three important aspects that they had is access, enrollment, retention. Access, enrollment, retention. This is the important thing they had in the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, and it was launched in the 2001. Exactly in the 2001. And a zero rejection policy has been adopted under this SSA, that is Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. So zero rejection policy has been adopted, which is ensuring that every child with special needs, irrespective of kind, category, degree, disability, meaningful quality education should be given. Meaningful quality education should be given to them. So there is a NCF, National Curriculum Framework, in 2005 has laid down a clear context for inclusive education. So during the 2005 there is a Ministry of the same 2005 National Curriculum Framework have given the context for inclusive education. In the same year, the Ministry of Human Resource Development implemented a Nation Action Plan for the inclusive in education of children, youth and even to the disabilities. Okay. So, this inclusive education of the disabled at the secondary stage. In the secondary stage, it is moving with the 2009 to 10. Okay, 2009 to 10. There, the another scheme have Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. That is 2013. It is important to integrate these children into regular schools. There is where they were integrated into regular schools and socialize and build their confidence. There is no separate school for disabled students after this Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan RMSA system of 2013. They focused that everybody should be in common. They should help the disabled children to be socialized and build their confidence. Okay, build their confidence. So then comes Right to Education Act. Right to Education Act that came in 2009. That came in 2009. So during 2009, the Right to Education Act, that is a legal mandate for free and compulsory education for all children. Free and compulsory education for all children. Okay. So that's been drafted in 2005, not passed until 2009 and put into effect from 2010. So this is the important act and the final major act that's been given in the education is 2009 Right to Education Act. There is a lot of acts, okay, from the 2000, that is 2000 plus years ago. People with disabilities had accessible toys. Okay, 2000 plus years ago, people with disabilities had accessible toys. Before British colonization, Gurukul system of education is followed. Okay, I'm telling you, like these are the things, whatever we seen from 70s to this Right to Education Act, we didn't still reach the 2016. We did reach this Right to Education Act. That is for, until that is for the from the special education till the compulsory to all and free education to all. Okay, so this is all about the government formed, everything happened. But think 2000 years ago, how did that happen? There is a people with disabilities had accessible toys. Before British colonization, Gurukul system of education is the primary system of education used in India. Okay, Gurukul system of education is primary system of education used in India. 1835, Minute of Education is written by Thomas Macaulay, documenting the British government's mission to create a class of Indians with British values. So that is something, Minute of Education in a 35. Then goes like this, 69. In 69, there is a first special school opened in India with the support of Church Missionary Society. Okay, first school opened in India is 1869. That is with the support of Church Missionary Society. And 83, school for a deaf is opened. School for a deaf is opened. So 69, that is the first ever school, that is with the Church Missionary support. Then 83, deaf school is open. Then 87, blind school is open. So 69, first school. Then after that 83, that is 1869, 1883. Okay. So 83, deaf school. Then again 1887. So within 9, 3, then 7, 69, then 83, then within 83 to 87, 4 years, right? Within that, the blind school is also under implementation. So then comes 1909. After that, 1887, nothing happened in 80s. Let's directly come to the 90s. There, first attempted piece of legislation regarding inclusion and education. Inclusion and education, that has been introduced by the famous person, you would have know that, Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Okay, under the Indian Council Act of 1909, bill was voted down. So that time it's been the legislation regarding inclusion and education. So that's been done by Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So this is one famous act. So famous step. And in 1918, first school that will teach the people with intellectual disabilities. 1918, first school for intellectual disabilities. So there is a school for disabled person like deaf and blind, but first time for intellectual, 1918 it has been happened. So like that it goes. In 1937, Mahatma Gandhi introduces basic education to Indian people. Basic education to Indian people. It influenced government policy on education about 30 years, but ultimately failed. In 37, Gandhi insisted the basic education, but it is failed. He did insisted for 30 years, but it's been failed. Okay, fine. So after that, 37 and 14, we are under the British rule. Such things happened, right? So 47, India gains the independence. Then in 50, they have signed, includes the part 9, that article 45, that guarantees free and compulsory education for all the children regardless of ability level between the ages 6 to 14. So in 1950 only it's been achieved for free education in the primary level, that is 6 to 14. So yeah, after that it goes on still now. The last act is 2009, that is Right to Education Act. Okay, now this RPWD Act 2016, that is reinforces inclusive education as the preferred mode of schooling for children with disabilities. So they can preferred mode of schools with the children, those who have disabilities. Okay, and let me tell you, if you are studying this history, of course you should know about the eras, pre-independence era and about the post-independence era. Okay, let me tell you in the short about it. So pre-independence era is nothing but the India has a very glorious past with respect to the treatment and educational opportunities provided its disabled population. Okay, that is pre-independence era consists of Vedic era, medieval era. Okay, these are the two eras that the pre-independence era had. So during this Vedic era, the ancient India or great rishis and gurus were known to provide equal treatment to their peoples irrespective of their social status or expressional or non-expressional abilities. They believed in the theory of karma. That is what Vedic era. This is pre-independence era. Okay. So this Vedic era, our rishis and gurus believed the karma. Okay. The theory of karma. Therefore, they were the opinion to give ample opportunities to the disabled, poor, sufferers, everybody. Okay. And medieval era. India also passed through the phases or era of exclusion, extermination, abduction, ridicule and amusement, witchcraft, sympathy, asylum, etc. So the religious gurus, that is during medieval era, religious gurus of this period like Lord Buddha and Mahavira advocated human treatment to the disabled. Their follower kings like Ashoka and Harshvardhan earned much fame in establishing hospitals and asylums for the disabled and destitute. So they, the followers of Buddha and Mahavira, that is King Ashoka and Harsh during the medieval era, they have supported the disabled persons, education, hospitals, everything has been given to them. So this British rule is paved the way for inclusive education in the country. In fact, inclusive education owes its origin to the work done by Christian missionaries. That's true. And other charitable organization of the country. The first for the blind schools established, first for the special course test, all with this Christian supports happened. So that is a reason. British rule is reason for that. Inclusive education system. So pre-independence era consists of Vedic and medieval. Whereas a Vedic era, rishis and guru believed in the theory of karma. Medieval era, the Lord Buddha and Mahavira gurus, they have advocated human treatment to the disabled persons also. Their follower kings like Ashoka and Harshvardhan also supported it and got the fame during it. Now post-independence era. Okay, so after getting the independence, India tried to focus on the education of the children, including the disabled. Okay, the government of India has created numerous policies under special education since country's independence in 1947, although the government of India has attempted to create policies that are inclusive for people with disability, the implementation efforts had not resulted in an inclusive system of education. So that have reached their goal, education for all across the country. Education for all is reached, but inclusive education is not reached. So the budgetary provision, that is PWD, is persons with disability, was allocated in various 5-year plans. Okay. And yeah, there are some welfare programs, many things that happened during this post-independence era that you know, that is PWD, then integrated education for the disabled children, that is 74, which we already seen, special schools, and NPE, that is, you know, integration of children with disabilities in regular schools, that happened in NPE in 1986. Then inclusive 1997 was added as a key component in district primary education program. Okay, so these things happen. Then we discussed about the years and how that happened from 2000 plus years ago, how the people with disabilities had accessible toys. Then during the colonization, the Gurukul system, I mean before the colonization, the Gurukul system was there, and how it went on. Okay, now let's jump back to the Inclusive Education Acts. So there are Person with Disability Act, UNCRPD, that is United Nations Convention on the Rights of Person with Disability, RTE, that is Inclusive Education in RTE, CWD is Children with Disabilities, 86th Constitutional Amendment in 2002, Provision for Inclusive Education as per RTE in 2012. These things happened and these things has been explained as well. Okay. So now, Key Act Policies and Programs. What are the Key Acts, Policies and Programs? Let us look into it. Landmark Acts and Policies. So that's what we discussed, no? Person with Disabilities Act 1995, National Policy of Persons with Disability 2006, Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education, that is RTE at 2009, Rights of Person with Disabilities, the RPWD 2016, National Education Policy in 2020. So here the major programs are given, that is IEDC, DPEP, SSA, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, then IEDSS, then again SSA. These are the important policies and programs that's been listed. Important policies and programs that been listed. Even I have read out those to you. Now, inclusive education concept, needs, principles. Okay. As of now, we did looked into the inclusive education's needs, when it came, how the education started, how it's been going, etc. Now, this is a time to look into inclusive education's concept, need and principles. So, why this is needed? Who created this? I mean, how the concepts been started and why still peoples are insisting it. So, inclusive education. The concept of inclusion was conceived in 1948 with the declaration adopted by UN General Assembly on the International Bill of Rights. On the International Bill of Rights. So, during 1948, in the International Bill of Rights only, this inclusive term was raised. International Bill of Rights, 1948. Okay. So, the declaration fundamentally seeks to deal with the issue of discrimination at all levels in every fact of society. According to the Children's Act 1998, children with disabilities have the right to be educated. Okay, this is as per Children's Act in 1998. Okay, so they have the right to educate, and with their non-disabled counterparts of their own age. Once again, the same class, same age, they can get educated with the normal people, those who are not with disabilities. The Act also continues, states that children should have access to the same curriculum taught to the children without disabilities. There is no separate for them. That is what inclusive education. That is what inclusive education. Therefore, in where children with disabilities are placed in the same classroom environment as other children of their age who do not have disabilities. So this is the idea, is for these children to attend the school in their neighborhood with the same children whom they play with. And this believed it will enable these disabled children to make friends with their non-disabled counterparts and love the school. So let me tell you something. There is a person with disabled, there is a normal person. And there is a separate school for special education. For example, just for example, no child would born with disabled. I am telling you, there is a child with mentally disabled. There is a child with physically disabled, and there is another child who might have another kind of problem. Everybody have some disabilities. There the complete environment covers with the sympathy, the unfair, there will be some sad feeling. They keep thinking about why, because though they are not seeing their disability, they look into others, they feel pity for them, they have the conversation, what are the difficulties. It is okay to be like that, but it's not completely okay. They want to be separated. Why should they feel separated? They should be like others, right? Yeah, they do have some differentiation. We wear different colors of dress and sitting together. The same like disabilities and abilities can sit together, right? That's true, no? So that's why it's been. So they can make a friend. If there is a person who is disabled making a friend with a non-disabled, there is a chance to forget about that disability and go on, make the friendship and learn something good. Right? So there are a type of school that is regular, special, integrated, inclusive. Okay? So regular school, special school, integrated school, inclusive school. So now the present, there is a growing need among educators and sociologists to accept the inclusive education pattern. So inclusive education is step forward from integrated or special school. So integrated is something they have, same syllabus but not same class, right? So now inclusive is getting spreaded, and see, there is a diagram, special school parallel to regular school. When it's getting integrated, there also, it has been inside the circle but in one corner. But inclusive, it gets mingled. So theoretically, inclusion is the creation of an enabling environment that provide for the acceptance of children with and without disabilities to play and interact every day without any prejudices whatsoever. Even if these children are receiving therapeutic services, they can be there. No problem. No one will get affected. In fact, the people will get cured, which has been told by the many NGOs and health organizations. Okay. So, now, the concept is educating all children regardless of ability and disability together in the same age in appropriate classroom. Adapts teaching curriculum environment rather than segregating the learner. That is the concept. So, why you need that? Rights to equality. Build the social acceptance, empathy. Reduce the stigma from early age. Prepare all the learners for diverse real world society. That's important. Real world society. So what are the principle that is had? Zero rejection. Again, what are the need? That is the principle. What is the need? That is the principle. Zero rejection, equal opportunity, individual need based planning, participation. These are the things. So there are people's given definitions for these also. So when it comes to inclusion, I means for infrastructure, N means for national level policy, C means for capacity building, L means for legislation reforms, U means for understanding, S means for sensitization, I means for initiative, O means for organization, N means for networking, that is central, state, government and NGOs, etc. So this is how the need of education, that is human right, education right, social rights, psychological rights, then principles, of course, the equality, regular classrooms of education, effective environment, acceptance, non-discrimination, understanding, everything. There are multiple principles. Okay. Now, education programs for CWSN. Okay. So, here, special education, integrated education, inclusive education. Let us come into it. Special education. What is special education? Separate schools for the disabled children. Outside the mainstream. That happened in way back in 1880s. So, the disabled people of all ages, the learners, they will be in the special education. Okay. So, now, for example, separate special school or college, special unit within the school, college, all these things. What are the things that had? High cost, charity oriented, teacher effectiveness limited to the group, partial opportunities to participate, special curriculum and methodology, special educator, may have low self-esteem. For children like the visually impaired, everything comes in the special education. Okay. And integrated education. There is where integrated education means disabled children or children with learning difficulties attending the mainstream. That is what, physically or mentally. Okay. The child is accepted into the ordinary school but is often taught in separate classroom. Makes minimal attempts to address any specific academic or social needs. Has little or no contact with the non-disabled peers. Example, the child is required to fit into what already exists in the school. Can you get in? Fit in. They cannot fit in. That is why they are being separated in most of the classes. So that is selected regular school. Child bought near normal. Cost is not so high, but yeah. Rights recognized, not realized. Teacher effectiveness is unchanged, limited to other children. And partial opportunities, of course. And the curriculum methodology is subject centered. Regular research teacher is also there. Specialist is also there. So this is how integrated was. Now it comes to inclusive, means that the whole school considers what measure it must be taken for the schools to be accessible for all the children. All learn together, all have the equity, all participate. School, she would naturally go to the neighborhood. Most cost effective, rights recognized, teacher effectiveness unchanged, equal opportunity, curriculum methodology is child-centered constructivist, class teacher, least restrictive, child remains as she is. That is the main thing, right? Child remains as she is. That's really good. So these are the education programs, that is special education, integrated education and inclusive education for this child with disabilities, all those things. Okay. So now this is all about the unit 1 once again, how it been started and how it's been going and how the inclusive education is really important. Now we comes to the unit 2, understanding barriers to inclusive education. So far we seen like why the first we had the special, then integrated, then inclusive, how it came and how it's going on and why it's needed and what is the concept. Now, of course, if some concept is there and some need is there and we start implementing, there will be a barrier. So, what is the barrier here? Understanding barriers to inclusive education. So, here the barrier means, of course, the struggle, right? First, attitudinal barriers, systemic barriers, structural barriers. Okay, so there are multiple barriers. Okay, let me apart from this also, that is attitudinal, systemic, structural. Negative thinking, social discrimination, sex discrimination, educational problem, emotional problem, adolescent stage, lack of capable teachers, lack of funds, everything. And these are the barriers simply I can mention. Okay, this is negative thinking, that is society is a big problem in inclusive education. Physically or mentally disabled children are looked down upon, they are able and not treated well. What is the solution? We should think positive. That is the solution. Social discrimination, again same. For teaching the children, society should be aware of that. Yeah, everybody is equal. That is how. Now let's come to this attitudinal barriers. What is attitudinal barriers? Attitudinal barriers are the behaviors, perception and assumption that discriminate against person with disabilities. So this is often emerge from a lack of understanding. Of course, they do not understand what it is, which can lead to people to ignore or judge the misconceptions like it. So what are the examples that we can take? Assuming a person with disability is inferior. They have disability, they are inferior to us. No, never. Assuming someone with a speech impairment cannot understand you. Forming ideas about a person because of stereotypes or a lack of knowledge. Making a person feel as though you are doing them a special favor. Like, you are helping them. Disabled persons used to say, you would have seen in movies or even in the real life. They used to say, please don't do the sympathy helps or empathy helps to them. They know they can do it. Don't show much pity to them. Don't show much pity to them. They will say, don't show me much pity. So they themselves think like, I am doing a special favor. Okay, there is a blind. I crossed the road. I helped to cross the road for the blind. That's a big deal I did. No. They didn't ask you. If they ask you, do it. That's it, right? Or if they're facing struggle, really do it. Don't voluntarily do it just for the fame, just for the sake, in the name of pity. By the heart, if you do, they accept. If you do wantedly to show off that you help pity, they'll not accept it. And don't think they're inferior. These thoughts are the attitudinal barriers. Showing the attitude to them. Showing the attitude towards them. Then systematic barriers. We can say systematic or organizational barriers. So, this is like a program that requires students to take a full course load. Like office hours conducted in person only, or not allowing students to access their professors or administrators by phone, email. Having poorly defined or unclear learning objectives, required students to express their understanding of course content in only one way. So as an educator, there are number of ways you can help remove systematic organizational behavior. How? Identify and clearly express the course. Encourage a student to speak to you with the accessible. So if there is a barrier, even the normal student cannot handle the barrier of communication, right? So how the special children will handle? And even insufficient funding will be there, inadequate training will be there, everything is there in this organization, right? Okay, structural. Sidewalks and doorways that are too narrow for the wheelchair, scooter or walker. So their accessibility, the structure, that is all about building. So first we are showing the attitude, then we are coming into the systems things. Whatever it needs to be there for them, it's not there, not approachable even for the normal. Then how they'll handle. Then structural. It's all about their materials and the things they had around. So if these things are happening in inclusion, then automatically it shows they are integrated, not inclusion, right? Automatically it shows they are not in inclusion, it's integrated, right? So this needs to be noted. And ways and means to promote successful inclusion. How it can be done? Sensation programs to build positive attitude among staff, students and community. Flexible learner-centered curriculum. Removing the physical barriers. Providing the technology that needs to them. Regular collaboration between the special educator, class teacher, parent. Then continuous monitoring and feedback, which is important for everybody. Everybody needs to done this constant feedback thing. Constant feedback is something very, very necessary. Okay. Capacity building among teachers and stakeholders. What is the capacity that needs to be built among teachers and stakeholders? Can you think for a minute about it? Pre-service and in-service training on disability awareness and inclusive pedagogy. Pre-service and in-service. What is the pre-service and in-service? So before the teacher is entering into the class, the teacher should know. What kind of disability will work, how the student can, behave, how they'll respond and how the teacher should behave to that. That is what pre-service. And in-service, during the training, every time they should know and they should be aware about the disability things to the children. Okay. So, class teachers and subject teachers. In this inclusive school, though the responsibility of education of all children lies with the regular teacher, the resource teacher, that is class teacher, are expected to facilitate this inclusive education by supporting the children and the teachers in regular schools. They should give the support. So, orientation for parents and community. Of course, first the teacher should learn. First the management should learn. Then the teacher should learn how to approach it. Then the parents should know and parents should give their opinion also, right? Yes, parents should give their opinion also, na? So that interaction should keep happening. Even there is a, normal school, also the parents and teachers should get interacted. That's the main thing, right? Parents should know what the children is doing and children should know the parents knows everything. Then, peer learning networks and mentoring among teachers for shared best practices. Involvement of resource teachers or special educators as ongoing support. Leadership, school leadership training to build an inclusive institutional care. So, we do have the capacity building among teachers and stakeholders. So, in this term stakeholder typically refers to anyone who invested in the welfare and success of a school and its student. Okay. Once again, the term stakeholder, that is stakeholder, typically refers anyone who is invested in welfare and success of a school and its students, including administrator, teacher, staff members, student, parent, family, everybody. Even the board members, city councillors, everybody should be included in this. Okay. So, however, to make an inclusive education reality, a number of pieces in the system have to fall in the place. Okay. Education for all is something necessary as per the SSA, right? Yeah. So, special educators, class teachers, subject teachers, peers, parents, school administration together can create proper inclusive education. Futures and benefits of inclusive education. What do you think it is a futures and benefits are there for it? So when it comes to it, education for all, education in diversity, accepting the diversity and common school system. That's what simply given here. That is single system serving diverse learner together. Single system for diverse learners. Flexible curriculum teaching methods, of course. Collaborative support from special educator, therapist, parents. This is the futures. What are the benefits? For child welfare, that is CWSN, better social skills, that is with disability childs, self-esteem, academic access, peers, greater empathy, acceptance of diversity, cooperative learning, society, reduce stigma and more equitable. But society has to be like that. It's still not like that. It has to be like that. Okay, let's come to the third unit. Building inclusive learning environment. First, we did seen that what is the concept and how the acts been formed in the first unit, emergence of inclusive, how it emerged. Then we see understanding barriers. Of course, something is emerged. If inclusive education is emerged, we need to know what are the barriers there. Then we know how can we make the environment better, right? This unit is very short and sweet. Building inclusive learning environment. That is, we have strategies to build. Okay, we have strategies to build inclusive learning environment in school and classroom. And then accessibility in relation to disability. We have accessibility in relation to disability. Then we have universal design. What is the universal design we have? Let's jump. Yeah, strategies. What are the strategies being followed? So, inclusive learning environment is less focused on the teacher and formal instruction and more focused on the learning that is taking place. It is student-centered. Note, it is student-centered. Once again, I am repeating, inclusive learning environment is less focused on the teacher and formal instruction and more focused on the learning that is taking place. It is focusing on learning, not on the teacher or formal instruction. And that's why it is, when the learning is taking place with more focus, it is student-centered. It is student-centered, and inclusive learning environment is winning solution, win-win. Winning solution for all the students. Winning solution for all the students. And of course, it helps to shape one's tolerance and acceptance of those different from oneself. Tolerance and acceptance. That cannot be learned everywhere, right? Tolerance and acceptance of those different from oneself. If a children is seeing everybody is normal and everybody in the same, they will not know the value of, the person who is facing struggle in their day-to-day life. So that is a place to learn the tolerance and acceptance, right? So the words are clearly given in the book. Words are very clear in this particular unit of particular page. Okay. Children learn to accept their own strength and work to improve their weakness. This is very nice, right? They accept their own strength and work to improve their weakness. Once again, I am telling you, this is student-centered, where the teacher and formal instruction is not there. Completely learning is focused, and this is a winning solution for the student, which is inclusive learning environment. Okay, and here the student learn the tolerance and acceptance, and they accept their strength, they accept their the weakness and improve it as well. Everything is happening, and it support the learner to accept the curriculum, access the curriculum and participate also. Okay. So, the strategies, let's come to it. It's creating very supportive and respectful environment. Flexible seating arrangement. Multi-sensory teacher materials, that is visual, auditory, tactical. Clear, concise, routine, visual schedules. Positive behavior support and a welcoming, non-judgmental classroom climate. It's really important, non-judgmental classroom climate. Here people, not only in the schools, not only to the students, everybody is judging someone. At every second millions are judging others. But instead of judging them, try to understand. If not, leave as it is. Do not judge. Do not judge. Non-judgmental classroom is really important. Collaborative activities such as peer buddy systems, group projects, and ongoing assessments for learning to adjust the pace and methods of every child. So every child have different methods and different paces, right? So that also needs to be done. Now, accessibility in relation to disability. Physical accessibility, already we did seen in the barriers, that is ramps, railing, doorways, these things, that is physical. Sensory, of course, the sign language support, assistive listening devices. Learning, that is cognitive. Simplified instruction, extra time, all these things. Social access, of course, everybody should accept and okay to participate, should not do the bullying, should not, do the things. Parking spaces should be given to them, everything should be given to them. Whatever is needed, it should be given. Okay, now, universal design. What is this universal design? Equitable and flexible use. See, once again, I am moving back. Whatever we seen in the barrier, here they have given that is we seen in the need, barrier and accessibility, which is needs to be accessible. It is needed and it is the barrier and it should be accessible. Can you get it? So, for example, these persons need common, proper, and integrated system, that is everybody together with equality. That is the need. Barrier, people show the attitudes. Okay, attitudes that should be avoided. Now, accessibility, people should accept and stop it from bullying. Everything is same, right? Can you get the point? Of course, you would have. So, read it once again. I am repeating. What is the need in the first unit? That is the barrier in second unit and accessibility in third unit. Okay, so now principles of universal design. What is happening in universal design? That is everywhere. Equitable and flexible use. That is useful to people with diverse abilities. Accommodates a wide range of preference. That is what flexible use means. Simple and perceptible. That is easy to understand. Communicate information effectively to all sense. Tolerance and low effort. That is minimize hazards of accidental action. Can be used efficiently in comfortability. Appropriate size and space for approach and use. That is what tolerance and low effort. So, what is the universal design means? There will be a definition, right? The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, CRPD. That is Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. The design of product and environment to be used by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need of adaptation or specialized design. First, the goal 1 is body fit. Goal 2 is comfort. Goal 3 is awareness. Goal 4 is understanding. 5, wellness. 6, social inclusion. 7, personalization. 8, cultural appropriation. So, the pathway, hallway, door are wide enough. Desk should be appropriately sized for the age of the children. Next, comfort. So, blackboard, shelf should be in the shorter as per the student's thing. And no step entry to the building for all users. Of course, ramp should be there. Awareness, the materials, everything should be aware to them. Audio, closed captioning, everything should be given to them. Understanding and aware to them also. Understanding. That is, door to the classrooms are different color from door to the offices. That needs to be there to their understanding. Of course, wellness. All these things are important to them. Okay. Applying universal design. Okay. So, how the universal design can be applied? how the universal design do have the principles. Okay, principle is nothing but equitable, flexible, simple, perceptible, low physical effort, tolerance for error. That's how. Now application. So this UD, universal design, can be applied to any product or environment such as curriculum, instruction, career service offices, multimedia, tutoring, learning center, conference, museum, microwave ovens, computer labs, work sites, web page, anything. Do it. Do it. What is it? Disabilities, opportunities, internet working and technology. Disabilities, opportunities, internet working and technology. Do it. Produces publications and video presentation that promote UD in variety of environment. Who produces this publication and video presentation? Do it. That is disabilities, opportunities, internet working and technology. They give the video presentations to them. And according to the Center of Universal Design, is the design of product and environment to be used by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need of adaptation or special design. So it should be universally used by everybody. There shouldn't be no special things in it. Everybody can use, even the disabled and even the non-disabled. That's it. That is the main thing. So again, school building, library, classroom, playground, anywhere it should be like that. Okay. So those who need can use, those who not can also avoid and use what they need alone. If the space is large, disability person use it. Of course, they occupy. If the person is normal, they cannot occupy the complete space. They use the space they needed, left as it is. That's it, right? That's how. Okay. Curriculum adaptation. So that includes the content, process and product to every learner. Reach every learner. Okay. Curriculum adaptation. So what is the curriculum adaptation? Adaptation is something getting adapted, right? So the pedagogy approach named as curriculum adaptation for the teaching learning of CWSN in an inclusive setup, it based on the principle and notion that all children cannot be benefited through the learning experiences imparted in the inclusive setup in the same way. They do have their own strength and limitation to learn and understand the things and attain the maximum level of learning progress. Instead of adapting the children to fixed and rigid, attempt should then be necessarily seek adaptation in the school curriculum according to diverse nature and need of the children. So let me tell you. In other words, in simple words, not only the curriculum but its implementation also needs proper adaptation for helping all the learner to achieve through the learning experience available to them in an inclusive setup. So throwing light on the nature of such curriculum adaptation, the NCTE publication including children with special need upper primary stage. This is what it says. Okay. Modifying what and how content is taught so that all learners can access and demonstrate learning. Modifying what and how content is taught. That is what the first thing. So this accommodation. So we know that modifying what and how all the learners can be taught. How content can be taught. When it comes to accommodation and modification, changes in how a student access content and demonstrate and learning. Extra time, all these things. Modifications. That is simplified objectives. Students expected to learn the content or performance standard itself is altered. That's what it means. Accommodations and modification. Getting adapted. Decision making model and types of adaptation. Okay, there are 4 steps in this decision making model. So when it comes to this decision making model, the 4 steps are given here. Before that, we did see curriculum adaptation. So there, Dr. Girish have given one definition. Let us, look into it and then come to this making model types of adaptation. So adaptation is the ability of a species to survive in a particular ecological either or particular place, especially because of alternations of form or behavior that brought about through natural selection. This is what Dr. Girish says about this curriculum adaptation. Just want to convey it. Okay. So now decision making model and types of adaptation. So what is it? We do have these steps in this decision making model and there are steps to it. Okay. So this decision making model is designed for designing a curriculum adaptation. Okay. Step 1. Identify the learning goal and student present level of performance. You can draw like a flowchart also. Okay. That is, first identify the learning goal and students present level of performance. Step 2. Determine the gap between expectation and current ability. What is expected? What has been identified as their goal? And currently how the ability is there. Step 2. 3. Adaptation strategy. Content, process, product, environment. Select all the strategy for these things. 4. Implement it, monitor it, review it. Implement it, monitor it, review it. What is the type of adaptation being given? Adaptations is content, instructional model, assessment format, physical environment. Adaptations in content, instructional method, assessment format, physical environment. Everywhere the adaptation should be there. Okay. So, curriculum adaptation in terms of quantity. If it is adapted in the terms of quantity, then the learner is expected to learn or number of activities students will complete prior to assessment for mastery. Okay, that is what is given for the quantity. Example, reduce the number of social studies terms a learner must learn at any one time and more practice activities or worksheets. Okay. In terms of time, individualize a timeline for completing a task. So this is how we have to make it. We have to find the strategy and make it. So next, universal design for learning and differentiated instruction. So that is what UDL and DI. Universal design for learning and differential instruction. So when it comes to universal thing, this UDL, universal design in learning, it is an approach to teaching aimed at meeting the need of every student in classroom. Aimed at meeting the need of every student in classroom. It can be helpful for all the kids, including the kids with learning and attention issue. Okay, it takes the careful planning by the teachers. So there is some examples how it works. It provides the opportunity for all the students to access also. Okay. Annie Mayer and David Rose, they are the first person to lay out the principles of UDL in 1990s. Okay. So meeting the all student needs, engaged in their education, learning in breadth and depth, achieving the higher level, everything. So what is mean by the definition given for universal design for learning is, UDL is an approach to teaching aimed at meeting the need of every student in the classroom. It can be helpful for all kids, including kids with learning attention issues, but UDL takes careful planning by teachers. What we studied as the meaning is what definition given by Dr. Rachia. Dr. Rachia, RACHAIAH, initial S. Okay. So there are things that UDL follows: universality and equality, flexibility, inclusiveness, appropriately designed space, simplicity, safety. So, multiple means of engagement. What given here? Multiple means of engagement. That is motivation, interest. Multiple means of representation. Multiple means of action expression. Designed proactively for whole class. That is universal. Everybody can access is what universal, right? So, now differentiated instruction. Differentiated instruction. That is B.Ed. So this UDL we seen, this DI, differentiated instruction, is another approach. Okay, approach to teaching that is intended to meet the learning needs of children with diverse abilities. Helps to plan and deliver the instruction based on different strength and weakness of the children in your classroom. As discussed earlier about UDL, the instruction is varied so that children can take information in various ways. Okay, know your students' strength and plan to teach by using them. For example, some children may enjoy planning sports, other may like singing or acting. You can often use these strengths to find the approach. So, know your students' strength and plan to teach. Vary the instructional content based on children's strength, performance level and need. Change the instructional approach, lesson, group-based children's characteristics. Consider various ways for children to demonstrate. Nothing should be dependent on one. Multiple ways should be there. So, differentiated instruction is what? DI, right? So, teachers can differentiate content, process, product according to the student. Content, process, product according to the student. Now, readiness, interest, learning profile. Readiness, interest, learning profile, that will be helping for growth, motivation, efficiency. That's it. So, DI does not include. There is a column given, DI does not include. Nothing but providing alternative instruction and assessment activity, DI include. Doing something different for every student in class, no, that's not there. Doing something different for every student is not there. Common is only there. Challenging student at an appropriate level is there. Disorderly, undisciplined student activity is not there. Using a variety of grouping to meet the student needs is there. Using group that never change or isolating, struggling with students within the class is not there. All students participating in the same endeavor is not happening in the DI. Okay. So, yes. Teaching strategies for inclusive classroom. That is cooperative learning, peer tutoring, co-teaching. Cooperative learning, peer tutoring and the co-teaching. So now the teaching strategies, like in a classroom, different ways are adapted by teacher. But there are some important strategies that needs to be suited for all the situations. So we do have some strategies, that is, this DI is one. Differentiation instruction. Okay, differentiation instruction. We know how this been originated. That is oldest type of instructive teaching. So originated in meaning and all we did seen for the differentiate education. And the principles is continuous formative, to know what different learner in classroom, these things. And you know what needs to be done? As we seen, we have to engage the students with different activities as per their needs. That is the main thing. Okay, now, role of the teacher. Setting objectives. Assigning student to group. Explaining the task. Explain how group work together. For example, specific role sharing for the one resource. Helping them with the task and working together. Evaluating them and cooperating them. Okay, this is all about this first one, differentiating instruction, which we already studied. The another strategy is peer tutoring. Is one of the accepted, strongly research-based and increasingly popular teaching technique that has a positive impact on both the mainstream and learning disabled students. Okay. So Aristotle had used the student leader known as archons to help him. Okay. Roman used peer tutors. They used older peoples to teach and test younger students. So the word peer tutor. So peer tutoring is in simplest form that involves a student helping another student learn a skill or a task. That is what peer tutoring. Okay. So that's why Aristotle used the student leaders known as archons to help him. Roman used peer tutors, used older peoples to teach, test younger students. Okay. This word peer tutoring, as explained, peer means somebody who is equal to another person or to other people in some respect such as age, class, level. Okay. So peer is somebody who is equal to another person or to other people in some respect such as age, class, level, something. Tutor means teacher who teaches an individual student or a small group of students. Tutor means teacher who teaches individual student or small group of student. So peer tutoring is defined as an educational practice in which a student interact other student to attain the education goal. Educational practice in which student interact other student to attain the education goal. So here we did see Aristotle used the archons and the another person is Roman used the seniors to teach, and peer tutoring is somebody equal to peer is equal to the age, class, and tutor is teaching to the small group individual, and is an educational practice in which a student can interact with interact other student to attain the education goal. Now, according to Damon and Pell, peer tutoring is an approach in which one student or a child instruct another child in material on which the first is expert and second is novice. This is also there. And this is flexible peer mediated strategy that involves students serving as academic tutors or tutees. This is also a beneficial. They do have some beneficials, and types of peer tutoring is also there. Class-wide peer tutoring, that is dividing an entire class into groups of 2 or 5 students and making them teach. Cross age, that is older pair, that is as per Roman. Okay, that is as per Roman. Aristotle is something arcus, that is leaders, class wide peer, class wide, then class age, that is higher class. First class wide, then class age. Then peer assisted, that is PALS, peer assisted learning. Involves a teacher pairing student who need additional instruction. Teacher point out. Then reciprocal. 2 or more student acting as a tutor or tutee during each session. So that is high performing students are paired with lower performing students. So both groups, like 2 high performer, 2 low performer, then there will be a reciprocal. Everybody teach each other. Like that it goes. Reciprocal. So first is all about class wide. Class wide, it is same class, same age, class wide. Then comes to age, cross age, class wide, class age, senior teachers. Then peer assistant is all about helping the involve the teacher assign it. Reciprocal is something 2 is highly performing and 2 is lower performance. Same age peer, that is may have similar ability level and more advanced student can be prepared with a less advanced student. So these are the types that is a total 5 types. Class wide, again I am telling 5 types. Class wide, cross age, peer assisted. Peer assisted is nothing but teacher is assigning. And reciprocal is something mingle of bright and dull students. Same age is all about same student pairing with this less advanced. They have same knowledge, but one is good in this, one is good in another thing. Like that it is. So next, advantages. There are many advantages of peer tutoring. Okay. So, yeah. Co-teaching. What is co-teaching? Co-team teaching often occurs in inclusion classroom. In co-taught class, general education, special education teacher work together to plan the lesson, teach, monitor student progress and manage it. How it works? Team teaching, one teacher, one assists, one observes. Station teaching, that is responsible for different part of the lesson plans. Parallel, split in the half and teach. Alternative, that is one teacher handle larger, meanwhile other handle the small at different levels. So that's how the co-teaching works. Okay, that is team teaching, or one teaches, one assist, or station teaching. That's nothing but same lesson in different parts, station teaching. Then parallel teaching, splitting the groups. Alternative teaching, again larger and small, like that. So cooperative is small mixed ability groups sharing the mutual responsibility, and peer tutoring we see, co-teaching also we did see. So it is all about technology for children with special need in inclusive school. So it is given like the concepts and introduction. So let me tell you. Assistive technology, screen readers, text-to-speech software, hearing aid, communicate. These are the things assistive technology. Examination concession, of course, 20 minutes, question paper in a simple language, separate seating arrangements as per their abilities. These things will be given. So unit 5 is also the short unit, that is management of inclusive classroom. So once again, first we did see the perspective in inclusive education. So that is nothing but how it been emerged and how it's been there. Then we did seen about the barriers. Then we did seen about the inclusive environment, how it can be built after the barriers. Then adapting. Once it's built, it has to be adapted. And finally, management, how it needs to be managed. Yes. So, jumping into it, common issues and challenges, that is evidence-based behavior management. Common issues and evidence-based behavior management. So what are the common issues you think? Common issues and challenges in management of inclusive classroom. Think for a minute. Okay. So inclusive, that is issues and challenges in inclusive setup. Inclusion is an international buzzword in education, and Indian education has no exception. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the United Nations General Assembly Charter, and United Nations Convention on the Rights of Child all acknowledged education as a human right, also seen as a continuing process of breaking down the barriers to learning and participation of all children and young people. So, inclusive education is an education system that provides opportunities for special need and talented students to pursue education at mainstream school along with normal students. So, what are the issues is there? Less student enrollment, lack of competencies among teachers, large class sizes, rigid curriculum, inadequate pre-service training, negative attitude of parents and teacher, inadequate infrastructure, lack of assistive devices, method of teaching, lack of community will, lack of political will, retention of children with disability, everything. So the challenges in inclusive setup, again, execution of policy, social attitude, resistance of parents. Okay, see now. Common issue is all about wide diversity in learning pace behavior. Limited teacher training is important and large class sizes. Balancing individual support. Evidence based is clear, consistently enforced expectation, positive environment. Function behavior assessment to understand trigger. Proactive strategies, visual cues, structured routine, calm down paces. So, something in inclusive education that keep happening will be this attitude, resistance, less enrollment because of the fear, maybe the reasons also we know, right? This happened, this cannot be stopped. Something cannot be stopped. Okay. Next, classroom management essentials. So again, this has been repeating, right? Seating arrangement, scheduling, these things are repeating. Let me tell you very simple. Family, school, community partners, everybody should work together to achieve this inclusive education. Okay? Apart from this simple point, read out the things that you can write it. You can pass it and read, okay? Teachers' role in inclusion of children with special, they should be facilitator, advocate, collaborator, observer, role model. Normally, teachers should be with everything. With the special needs, extra care. That's it. They should be everywhere. They should be a doctor. They should be advocate, collaborator, observer, role model. Thank you. This is all about the 5th unit. Take care and write well your exams. Bye.